Hi, thank you for joining us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and other important aspects of working for yourself. So we've been asked to talk about how you close a limited company. And so we're going to talk about that. And before I do, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll easily be able to refer back to this information should you need to, as well as finding information that we have on a whole wide range of topics aimed at helping you and supporting you in your self-employment. So on then to closing a limited company. So if you recall from the guidance on setting up a limited company, when you create a limited company, you are creating an entity that is separate from yourself as potentially the director and the shareholder. So you've got your limited company, you've got this entity, but it's no longer required. It's not applicable. You've decided to leave the company as dormant. You've decided that you want to close it. So as everything, it's really important to just, once you've made that decision, to actually follow the process and have that done. Because if you just leave the company and don't bother to submit your annual confirmation statements and your annual accounts as required, then of course penalties are going to start to be incurred, which is just obviously unnecessarily contact for you, extra things for you to have to deal with, rather than if you just actually close it. And as we talked about in other guidance, if you're not certain but you're not trading, then you do have the option to submit dormant accounts. So the audience who generally watch our guidance are likely to be micro entities, so very simple companies. Perhaps even someone set up a company and just haven't needed it. Their plans haven't sort of come to fruition as they required, or they've traded and they've now moved on to doing something different. Or they've just perhaps they've retired, lots of reasons, but ultimately the point you've got to is you don't want that company anymore. You don't want to have to submit the annual accounts or the confirmation statement. You want it to be closed. So what do you do? So we refer to closing the company as dissolving it. So again, at the start you created a separate entity, and now we're looking to dissolve that, which will then effectively mean that that separate entity will no longer exist. So it's actually really, really simple, a lot more simple than dealing with with just leaving the company. So you need to obtain from Companies House a DS-01 form. I'll pop the link in the description to where you can find this. You can either complete this online or print off a hard copy and pop it in the post. The form is incredibly simple. You simply need to complete that form with the details of the company that you want to dissolve, and then the directors of that company must all sign that form, and then that needs to go off to Companies House. The address is on the form where you need to send it with a £10 check, and they will then process that form. So as part of the process, it can take a little while, because initially that they will need to do a series of Gazette notifications, like advertisements, to notify that this company is going to be dissolved, give the opportunity for any creditors to contact them if there's a reason why the company shouldn't be dissolved. And then about 3 months after the form, if there's no objections, then the form will the company will be dissolved, and you will receive a letter. So that's the actual the process as far as Companies House is concerned. But as you know, we also have to report to HMRC for our limited companies. So you will have, if you've traded or been dormant, you will have likely submitted accounts to the end of the last financial period. But you will need to let HMRC know for corporation tax purposes that that you intend to close the company, because of course if you've submitted accounts to a period end that's say 6 months ago, then yes, nothing's due with them for a little while, but how will HMRC know that you haven't been trading and that you don't owe any corporation tax for the period since the last return that they received? So you will need to contact HMRC to let them know. If you don't, then there's a strong chance that they will object to the dissolving of your company, which would only be an unnecessary delay, which would be avoided by notifying them. So then, of course, we need to think about any other HMRC taxes that you are registered for. So if your company was VAT registered, then you will need to follow the procedure for deregistering from VAT. If you are registered with the PAYE scheme, either because you're an employer or because you're operating the CIS scheme as a contractor, then you will need to cease that scheme. So you just need to think, well, if I don't do that, then HMRC won't know whether I've paid all my liability. So it's just to actually make sure that they do know before that happens. And of course, if you are submitting a personal self-assessment tax return in your capacity as a director, and you no longer have anything that puts you in the realms of needing to submit a self-assessment tax return, then again you should notify HMRC. Don't just not submit the tax return because you don't have anything to declare, because then you will still receive a penalty. You just need to let HMRC know. So that covers the things that you need to consider with HMRC, and as I say, let them know for corporation tax and any other taxes that you're registered for should be ceased before you apply to dissolve the company. Another important thing to remember is that once your company is dissolved, that company will cease to exist. So if you have a bank account for your company, you should make sure that that is closed before you send off the form to Companies House to apply to dissolve the company. But of course, if you are due any rebates of any corporation tax, VAT, or PAYE or CIS deductions suffered, anything like that you are due back, you will need to keep your bank account open until you've received those, because once the bank account's closed, you won't, of course, be able to receive those because they will be payable to the company. And if you have money in your bank account at the point the company is dissolved, everything will the term is to go to the Crown. So you will lose access to that because the owner in effect of that bank account will have ceased to exist. So it's really important that you actually sort of think about the order that you're doing things. So although it's a very simple thing to submit the DS01 form to Companies House, you also need to consider what HMRC taxes you need to notify first, so that they're clear that there's no liability and don't object to the company being closed. You need to consider that you've disposed of all your assets, including your bank account, and we cover that in a different guidance, because of course you have to remember that all the assets belong to the company and the company is separate from you. You don't own those assets, so you actually need to think about how you transfer those assets and how that is done. So, and then of course, the other thing is to make sure that you have, as well as disposing of your assets, that you have cleared all of your creditors, that you don't owe anyone any money. So again, once the DSO1 form is processed, there will be notifications so that any creditors of yours can let Companies House know and object to the closing of the company if you owe them money, and they'll be able to put that on hold then until that's resolved. So it's important that if you do owe anyone any money, that you do repay that prior to sending that form off. So again, really simple to send the form off, but there are some important considerations that can be quite costly. For example, if you don't close your bank account and you have money in there, then you could effectively lose that. So if you're needing to close a company that has actually been trading and you're not sure of the process, this video is intended to be guidance for somebody that has a good idea of what they need to do, and they just sort of need to fine tune exactly the sort of forms to use, etc. So if you're not sure what to do, then we would advise that you seek professional help and engage the services of somebody to help you to do this. And of course, as we always say, if you are engaging professional help to help you, then please do make sure that the person that you are engaging is qualified to do what you're engaging them to do, that they're a member of a professional body, if applicable, they hold professional indemnity insurance, and that they can actually do properly what you need them to do. But if you're happy to do this yourself, then hopefully that's given you an overview of the things that you need to be considering. So thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and have a good day. Thank you. Goodbye.